So current full body posterior day in the GBRS Performance Program, we're gonna emphasize unilateral lower body, bilateral upper body. So we're gonna start getting some movement in the hips, getting some rotation in the spine. From there, creating some tension with the hips, supporting our posture and our pillar position. From there, loading a unilateral position, getting some upper body vertical pulling, then going to more of a horizontal pull, pairing that with some groin emphasis with mobility, and then challenging that further with a lat sweep, getting into a farmer's carry. Let's really jump into this program. We're gonna have some fun today. So first movement, we're going upper body banded dead bug. He's gonna have his back flush to the ground here. Both legs are gonna be straight up in the air. Big key emphasis here is keeping his lower back flush to the ground. Abs are tight, maintaining that active flexion. He's cueing his upper body, getting some lats involved, getting some upper body tension with his band. And from here, he's gonna drop one leg at a time. So he's dropping one leg. As he's actively dropping that leg, he's actively pulling this right leg up. Let's switch legs, bring it up. And let's get a nice little drop. Lengthening that leg, getting length through those hip flexors, while we have that opposite contraction, getting that good separation in our thighs as he's pulling one leg up. Let's sync our breath up now. Let's exhale that breath. Inhale up. Exhale long. Inhale up. Exhale long. Inhale up. Rest. I love this for prepping the hip flexors, creating some tension, really getting that area up and moving. How do you feel when you're doing that?
Good. I feel like it really connects the upper body and the lower body. Trying to focus on my lower back being flat on the ground is always an issue. I naturally kind of have that arch.
Yeah.
But every time he tells me lower back on the ground, you have to press your core to the ground, and that creates stability on that lower back. But I notice a huge difference if I don't do it. I feel like it locks in my hip flexors more. If I press that lower back, I can feel it in my abs more. Now I start to separate. I feel like I can separate each individual component of my body if I want to.
When you talk about prepping your torso, you've talked about like the importance of planks and dead bugs prior to things. I know we've taken some weeks off where we haven't really done them, but you've kind of done them on your own. Do you still feel that same benefit with the dead bug position?
100%. Yeah, just being able to compress that core and lock everything in, I can feel it stabilize. And when I don't do it, I feel like I don't know, I'm walking around with a core full of jello. It's like everything's just kind of loose and kind of just flowy through, but I need to be able to compress it, create that stability and that rigidity, but it's under control. I'm not just walking around super rigid, I'm compressing it as I need to create stability.
Cool. Let's continue that prep work. Back on those hip flexors, but adding a little bit of rotation. He's gonna start from this figure 4 setup here, holding hip flexion. He's gonna pull that foot up a little bit, maintaining a good awareness of his core. We don't want him tilting around too much. And he's just gonna slowly take this leg off to the side, contouring around the ground, bending his knee. Once he gets back into hip extension some, finding internal rotation of this back leg while holding this internally rotated hip. From here, he's gonna lift that knee up, straighten that leg around, come back around to the front, holding hip flexion. So we have rotation involved, we have hip flexion involved, getting back into hip extension with some rotation while trying to maintain that upright posture, using the floor as a constraint to kind of contour around. When you're kind of moving around, rotating through this, what are you kind of thinking with your torso position and your hip?
Naturally, I have to donate a little mobility for my upper body. In a perfect world, I'd be straight up north-south. I feel like I can feel the limitations of my hip. So as I get here, I'll kind of bend over, and as soon as I get in that position, I'll actually push off the ground to try to realign myself vertically.
Yeah.
The big issue is to not generate momentum and try to just huff this leg up. It's not going to be super easy, but if I get a nice stable position on the ground, I can lift that knee up, I can extend it, I'll feel everything like that piriformis, that glute really tighten up. I'll re-straighten and then shift it back in. It's totally normal to feel a little bit of impingement. It's not really comfortable, and then right when I get there, I'll reposition back up. Really trying to emphasize that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great bit of internal rotation, this back leg. Definitely something we focus on with sports, with tactical population, many aspects of life and professions is being able to access internal rotation of the hip. DJ has a great position right here, something we've worked a lot on with his hips. But like he said, getting here, lifting that knee up, abduction, straighten that leg out, bring it around, hold a high hip flexion position, challenging those hip flexors from a shortened position, and just kind of using the ground as a constraint to move around. DJ said he kind of lean off to the side. Another way that we can approach this, if you can't find that, is DJ, you can go down to an elbow. Like maybe something you're very limited here and just stay on that elbow the whole time, kind of keep your torso up and kind of swing that leg around so we're off to the side, just kind of working around to make this exercise fit for your body type and what you have access to currently, with the goal ultimately getting a little bit more upright.
Tactical population, everybody has hip injuries. I've had them. Everybody I know that has them. Yep. It's not going to get better tomorrow. You have to do something every single day. So we wake up on a long flight. I do hip mobility every single day, 7 days a week. Because once you get to mobility, I'm trying to keep it.
Exactly.
Can't take your foot off the gas. Got to keep going. These things will be a game changer, man. You got to add them in.
Now we're gonna add some upper body rotation with this hip mobility. For this next movement, we're gonna involve that rotation of that upper body with the hip. So working off this single leg hinge position, he's gonna open up by leaning into the wall with the goal of here, eyes tracking his hand, bringing his hand up to the wall here. Big key emphasis is I want him to drive his right arm into the wall, maintaining the arch of his left foot. Make sure we're keeping the big toe down, maintaining that arch, really feeling that tension in this hip. We don't want to feel it in our lower back. So he's opening up to the wall, getting that good T-spine rotation off this single hinge position, locking in. We want to have some stability here, so he's leaning into the wall, pushing his hip into the wall, and pushing his hand into the wall. We can play with this by adding some tension. Normally we go for this for reps, but if you have a training partner with you, we'll kind of get in here and we'll challenge this rotation in the end range of the movement. And from here, I'm just gonna say, hey, I want you to lean into the wall and I want you to kind of drive into me with this hand about 50%. Go for it. 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%, slowly off the gas. Back up into the wall. Now open back up again. You may notice that that rotation that we're looking for is a little bit easier to access now. Good a bit about isometric tension through mobility, a great way to kind of address areas where we need some added attention. Money, rest. Where are you feeling this at in your hip when you're rotating off?
As soon as I lean in and press everything against the wall, I can feel that piriformis stretch over the hip. And as I start to, compressing the movement, I can feel everything kind of hinging over, trying to make that as long as possible. I can feel it all hinge. I'm really trying to keep my foot in line with my toe and not letting it drift off in time and space.
Exactly.
So every time I go to press, it's kind of where my eyes visually leave it. I'm trying to keep it north-south, and then follow my hand all the way through it without donating mobility.
Exactly. I've noticed that's something we've been big focus on is maintaining that big toe down, maintaining the arch of the foot. So when you are opening up away and the knee wants to waver open, how are you cueing that? Are you thinking that from the hip or are you thinking that like from the foot? Because kind of both of them kind of go together.
For me, it's really straight line, in line with that big middle toe. And I just draw a straight line. I just try to keep my knee inside of 10 degrees either way. Because it is going to subtly shift.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be aware of if it does shift, back on center.
Can you go back to that single hinge position? So when you're holding that hinge right here on the hip, so for me, you're in this flat position right here, pretty neutral pelvis from the single hinge.
Yep.
I like it when I'm kind of like, you kind of did it naturally, kind of biasing in a little bit, and I think it helps with not only do we load those external rotators a little bit more from the single hinge, but I think it allows you to kind of access that big toe and that arch, that knee and that line.
It just brings you more into the awareness of it.
Yeah.
Exactly where it is. Pin that hip in, because if I'm not, my knees just naturally kind of float down time and space. If I sink it in, I press it against the wall, I think big toe down, now everything's in alignment. Now I open up, I shift my hands, knee hasn't moved off center line.
Yeah.
Just maximize more of the stretch in the hip.
Perfect. Our last prep item before we move into some bigger loading patterns, this is gonna be a glute bridge march with a band pullover. Big key emphasis here is making sure we have our back supported on a solid base, upper body banded to give us some tension on that upper body, no different than those dead bugs. And from here, we're just gonna perform a glute bridge march. So I'm looking for his heel to be underneath his knee. And from here, we're just alternating legs, driving our knees up to the band while maintaining a pelvis that's square to the ceiling. As he's doing this movement, I don't want his pelvis to fluctuate and tilt to the right, to the left. We want that pelvis to be able to support that position, that hip mobility, to have stability when we're holding this hip extended position while driving a leg up into hip flexion. Great for that separation of the thighs, being able to support the hips, our hip mobility, our pelvis position with our spine, a lot of things integrating with our hip mobility with this specific movement. So we've spent a lot of time on the dissociation between the upper and lower body, our hips, our legs moving independently. This one's specifically holding that isometric bridge. What are you feeling as your legs exchange? Do you feel that tilt wanting to occur?
Oh, 100%. As soon as you build the upper body connection, shoulder blades back, everything's locked in, I'm not gonna let my upper body move. Now it's a dissociation, now it's my lower body. As soon as I start to drop one leg, I can feel my whole pelvis want to favor that one side, and the only thing I'm thinking is don't let it. So I imagine a piece of plywood basically under my ass. If it starts to counter, I just apply pressure on the opposite end. I'm just trying to keep everything flat on the horizon.
When you're applying pressure, that's through the heel, through the ground, driving up. So when you're driving up, are you able to keep, do you feel like your knees wavering off, or you can still stay in this kind of like train track position of your legs? Do you feel it wanting to open up?
I feel it when it open up, but for me, without seeing a video playback, it feels like it's pretty straight down the pipe. But I mean, I'm actively focused on that whole thing. If I just kind of rush through the movement, I mean, you'll watch the whole pelvis just goes back and forth like a slosh pipe. So I'm trying to avoid that.
I like the upper body banded position because it gives you some tension of the upper body to kind of bring in your torso. For me, when you're from your lower back, holding a hip extended position for an isometric, do you feel any tension in your lower back?
No.
Do you think it's from the upper body banded position having to cue like some active flexion to kind of take away from it?
I do.
Okay.
Because even if we bridge off the floor and we do the same thing, I can feel my lower back, not a fatigue, not in a bad way, but I can feel it fatiguing over time. Like you can feel it start to pulse a little bit, start to heat up. I'm like, there's definitely some lower back involved, and here I don't feel any lower back, which I think for me is the goal.
Cool. Now let's load those patterns a little bit more. All right, with this block that we're currently in is gonna be a unilateral posterior focus and an upper body bilateral focus. So our big primary pattern is gonna be the single leg hinge pattern, loading it with the dumbbell. He's gonna go right leg emphasis here. We'll go right hand, so we're going same side, same hand, ipsilateral. Let's grab it with this right hand. I like this loading pattern, same hand, same leg. It kind of really allows us to really focus on the hip without getting too much involvement with the lower back. And with as much emphasis as we're putting on the lower back within this current block, we want to make sure that we're keeping the main thing with certain movements. So for this one, I'm really cueing heavy on the foot up, feeding into the hip, maintaining the arch of the foot, big toe down, really trying to centrate all that tension on the hip, not in his lower back. And he's thinking about getting long here with his leg. He's reaching this leg back as long as he can, getting as much length and separation in the thighs as possible. He's not just dropping his chest forward, like thinking like a baby bird feeding. I'm just reaching that leg back, getting long, and then driving up through, squeezing our hips. Get one more rep, maintain the arch of that foot, and then we're up, drive. Really love this for the hips, that connection with the hip up into the foot, and really loading that posterior line, that hamstrings from a hinge position.
Extending that opposite leg as far back as you can is a game changer.
It's because you get that separation in the thighs.
If you don't do it, you'll just be able to cheat through it. Like if you're ripping 120 off the floor, single leg, you're probably using too much momentum.
Yeah.
If you really slow this thing down and really try to extend that opposite leg out. And for me, I always have a slight bend in my knee. If I can straighten out ever so slightly, I'll feel the bottom third of that hamstring really stretch and connect. So it's, explore little patterns.
Yep.
You're right there, just exhale, inhale, feather it a little bit and just see where you can get the most bang for your buck. But for me, extending that opposite leg, it's a game changer.
Can you give me 3 more reps just so I can talk about that one spot, one thing? So when you talk about getting that leg behind you, I think one of the key things that people miss here is they think more is better. So they like take this dumbbell all the way to the ground. That's not from your hamstring. That's from your lower back. Yep. So it's like make sure that hinge, for me, it's like kind of right around like that mid shin where my chest is still in line or above my hip. The second I get that chest below my hip, then it's like now I start to feel my lower back getting involved, and that's not what I'm aiming for here.
Exactly.
Get a couple more reps here and kind of emphasize that. No different than DJ just said. Once again, we don't want to be a mom feeding a baby bird and just dropping our head forward. We want to think length here. So getting nice and long, shorten that range of motion just slightly, length, right there. Back up, hips through. Beautiful. Get length, slide back, hips through. One more rep. Locked in, length, shorten that range of motion right there, up. Good rep. When you're thinking about your foot position, that foot feeding up into the hip, maintaining your pelvis, do you feel it kind of centrated in the joint? Are you feeling the external rotators of your hip? Are you feeling groin? Do you kind of like interplay between the two? But where are you kind of thinking about your balance here? Because you're obviously standing on one leg.
Really the inside of my knee. Like for whatever reason, I have the most connection with the inside of my knee. So as I lower down, I'll feel it start to spasm, and I'll think about the inside of my knee, rotating it and keeping it in alignment. A lot of times when I go down this knee, it'll go out to like the 1 o'clock position. Yeah. It'll start to spasm. If I think about the inside of my knee, pulling it in, I feel like I have a better connection with it.
So you're getting that from big toe? So big toe down. Now I'm kind of getting some torque on the leg. So you're getting adductors as well, you're feeling on this hinge. Okay.
I mean, for me, just the stabilization aspect. I'm trying to lock in as much as I possibly can without compromising it from my lower back and just ripping through this movement. There's one thing about building in power right now, because it's hamstring and I'm terrified about blowing out a hamstring. Yeah. I'm trying to be really slow and methodical. I can always build power into it later with speed, but for me, I'm not trying to mess it up. I don't want to hurt myself.
We're doing a lot of bilateral pulling, but the big emphasis on one of our full body posterior days is the unilateral hamstring for all the sprint work and stuff we're doing, the longevity of the hamstrings, strength there, power, and we're gonna pair this with a bilateral pull-up. We're gonna do a 3-position pull-up position. Pairing that with a bilateral pull, we're gonna go a 3-position isometric pull-up. DJ's gonna mount this bar. He's gonna immediately get his eyes above the bar. We're gonna hold that position for 3 seconds to start out the gate. So let's jump up on the bar. Good hand position, good solid grip. From here, he's gonna go eyes above the bar. We're gonna hold this for 3 seconds. Then he's gonna lower down to right below 90, holding it 3 seconds. Then he's gonna go right above a dead hang, 3 seconds. Down to a dead hang, good mobility in the shoulder joint, and then he's gonna go right back up. We're gonna repeat this for 3 reps. 3-second hold, 90 degrees, 3-second hold, right above the bottom, 3-second hold, dead hang. Relax, shake it out. We had 3 reps programmed for now, but for this, DJ already did this session earlier this week, so I'm gonna save him a rep here.
Thank you.
When you're thinking hand position, this is something we've played around with a lot and you've kind of explored. So where are you thinking currently with your pull-ups and your hand grip?
It's changed over the years. As of recently, after consulting with the wizard Dr. Pull-ups or Professor Pull-ups, whatever it is, I'm now going thumb under the bar, and I'm trying to get my top knuckles rotated so it kind of pronates my wrist a little bit, almost like a muscle-up position.
Yep.
If I was trying to get in that, but now I can rotate my elbows in. I feel like it's more lat focused now.
Okay.
I feel like I'm so much more connected to it. I feel like I could rip through the bar.
And you're pulling off that outside position of your hand,
Yep.
like thinking you're gonna do a muscle up, but obviously just doing the pull-up.
Really trying to pinky pressure, trying to curve in. If I could snap the bar, I'd try to snap the bar.
And you feel like you're getting more lats now because of that position.
Uh-huh.
When you get to the dead hang, I know we've spent a lot of time on confidence with the shoulder joint, whatnot. Do you, when you're getting to that point where we're right above, because you're isometric, that fatigue's setting in, lats are obviously getting fatigued, and then you kind of reach down to that bottom dead hang position. How are you feeling with symmetrically both shoulders? I know we had scap issue, clavicle issue. Are you feeling symmetry yet, or are you still feeling a difference right to left?
And especially if I exhale, when I hold at that bottom third,
Yeah.
as I exhale into the movement, I feel like it's straight down the pipe. To me, it feels fine. Before,
Yeah.
you could watch it. I'd go to, on the eccentric, and you'd see me, I'd favor to one side, and I'd kind of get into it, and then I'd have to breathe for a second and try to match it. I feel like I can go straight up and down, north, south, fine.
Awesome. Pull-ups are definitely a keystone in our program. We've built it into our standards, but we want to play with the tempo. Isometrics are a great way to do that. So currently what we're doing, last week we did a pure 90-degree hold, now just introducing some positional isometrics for that as a progression. So continuing that bilateral pull, now we're going to go with the upper body first. So we're going to go with the bent over row, not something we do often, I think, but just adding some variety. We normally do a supported row, just getting some more tension out of our torso, our hips being able to support this pulling pattern. So he's going to kind of approach the bar. Normally we coach this with a pronated hand grip, but you this week kind of defaulted to a supinated.
Yeah, get a little tendonitis I'm always kind of messing with, and every now and then it flares up. Typically we know why. If I hold it 90 degrees, it flares up. We haven't been holding it 90 degrees, but for whatever reason, it popped. Now it's just kind of a nightmare. But yeah, when I supinate my grip, I feel like, one, I can target my lower lats better, but for whatever reason, the difference between this and this, it doesn't affect my tendonitis. So for all the guys that have tendonitis and pull-ups are out for me, switch your hand grip, and for me, it doesn't affect me at all. Like bicep curls, I can do curls all day long. Hammer curls, one shot for whatever reason, and I'm done, dude.
Yeah. It also probably makes it easier to access that pulling it back to the belly button as well.
For me, I feel like I almost have more connection and I'm more accurate with my pull. Not if that's the right phrase to say, but I mean, for me, when I tend to huff it, I feel like I'm only really targeting the top, the top third of my back.
Yeah.
When I rotate it over, I feel like I can get the entire lower lat too. I feel like I can pull the entire movement. I feel like I'm more accurate with the pull.
Yeah, okay. Set up, feet about shoulder width apart here. He's gonna gain access to the bar, nice good grip position. See how he set his body, put all that tension on his hips instead of his lower back. Slight hinge, slight bend in the knees. He's maintaining the arch of his foot, big toes down, so he has a good connection there. And he's just pulling this bar back to his belly button. We wanna get good movement out of those scaps around the rib cage as he finds that protracted position of the scap. Pulling it back to the belly button. Slight pause so we're not yanking it with momentum as DJ just said. Pulling back into the belly button. Nice long reach on the way out. Reset. when you're holding that isometric hinge. So also a reason I like this movement is because obviously we're getting a bilateral pull, lat involvement, but also you're having to sit in the hips, you're having to brace your core, getting a little bit of groin involvement. We're gonna pair it with the groin next, maintain active fit position. So I like it for that sort of, you have the slight impulses every rep, it kind of like changes the tension. You're kind of having to play with that. What do you feel with something that's, for someone that's had so many lower back issues, bent over row, some people look at it and be like, I don't know.
The same thing. And when I used to do them back in the day, I would lean all the way over and I'd essentially just rip them through the floor. That's nothing but my lower back. If I hinge more like that 45-degree pattern and I pull, I feel like I can extend out my glutes a little bit. I can really lock in my hamstrings, and now I'm kind of connecting all the dots in that fashion. And then I feel like it's no lower back.
Yeah.
But I've got to be slow, got to be very accurate with the pulling pattern, where my eyes are focusing. If I get to here and I start to lift my head up, I can feel my spine kind of curve out. Fix a point on the ground, don't move, just lock in, pull.
Building on that tension of those hips, we're gonna pair this with a groin squeeze. So you're just gonna sit on the ground, find a spot kind of in a seated position. And from here, he's gonna rotate each side. He's gonna get a good turn. Let's go to our right first, turn to our right, DJ. Putting our hand between our knee and both knees. So we have our hand and our elbow. From here, he's gonna rotate his upper body. And from this position here, I wanna think about a max effort squeeze for 5 seconds. So you kind of ease into it, like easing into the tension, and then we're max throttle for 5 seconds. Rotate, break your arm, 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 slowly let off the gas. Then we'll rotate to the other side. We're gonna get each side rotating, a slight change in the pelvis, slight change in the pitch of our position when it comes to those adductors. Once again, building into that tension. And then now we're kind of blowing this thing up now. Squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Trying to break your groin, trying to break your groin. Slowly let off the gas. Let's go one more to the right, one more to the right. Rotate. Nice and tall. Big chest position, rotating our shoulders away from our hips. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. 3, 2, relax. Slowly letting off the gas. Outside of just blowing your groin up, squeezing, what are you thinking about, or what are you feeling in that sort of contraction?
Feels like I'm gonna pass out. I'm squeezing so hard.
Yeah.
Feels like my pelvis is gonna pop. Have you ever done that chiropractic thing where make you squeeze and you pop your pelvis? That's what it feels like it's gonna do, and more often than not, it will do that. But I'm trying to gain a little bit of mobility as I'm really squeezing. I'm trying to lean my chin over my shoulder, trying to get as much mobility as possible. Then I'm trying to time the exhale. Exhale, 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 squeeze, 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 squeeze. And that feathered off approach. I'm not just letting off completely.
Exactly.
Let off. I mean, and that's one of the things, not a lot of people have the ability to slowly dial it up. That feathered approach, it's all or nothing. I want to build into it and then let off the gas, nice and smooth.
I mean, that's a great point. I think I even say this for you when we're doing bench press, squatting, deadlifting. It's safe in, safe out. Like a lot of people get in that habit of like, you just did like 8 good reps and on that last one, you just, it's like, no. Finish your good rep. No different than you started or ended your 3rd rep. Finish that last rep the same exact way.
Absolutely. Safe in, safe out.
All right, let's build on that bilateral upper pattern. Now we're gonna go with the lat sweep. And for this last set, we're going with the lat sweep, pairing with the farmer's carries. For these lat sweep, we're thinking about as much length as possible. We want to be long. Obviously, a lot of our daily life is spent being compressed. We brace, we bring everything down. We want to get a lot of length here out of the lats, letting those arms kind of get up overhead, letting that elbow kind of reach away from us, still maintaining that good position of our core. We're actively flexed. We're not getting that lumbar extension as we reach out and open, letting the weight sit in his hips. Once again, connected to the ground, maintaining the arch of the foot, just big length and really squeezing in. Big length, letting the elbows reach, good quality contraction, bringing it down, holding it for a slight pause, and then reaching up and away as we finish the exercise. Let's get one more rep, pulling it in, big squeeze, nice long reach on the way out, big length in the lats, reset. This is something we've talked about a lot when it comes to like our elbow positioning, when it comes to that reach. You've even mentioned like you kind of like pushing out and away. What are some key things that you're looking for with this movement?
Well, the big one I see that guys mess up is they turn this into a tricep extension.
Interesting.
They'll bring it down into here. They'll keep elbows bent.
Yeah.
And they essentially do this.
Yep,
it's not a lat sweep. So for me, I'm trying to lean back and I'm trying to force myself in that elongated position as far as I can and not try to use momentum. Just slowly pull. And if I bring in my elbows a little bit in that pronated position, I feel like I can engage the entire lat. And then once I get to here, I'm thinking down to the floor and then trying to do a big sweep motion.
Yeah.
So by the time I get to here, I'm extending, lat, full stretch.
Yep.
All the way back out, and then take a breath.
One of the biggest things I like about when DJ's doing this and what he just touched on is that lengthened position. He's at the end range of this movement. He's starting it from the slow contraction, resetting and pulling it back in. He's not trying to create momentum or drop his chest and yank it down to get it into that 80% window of it being more manageable. He's really owning that 10% here and that 10% at the top, really owning every range of this exercise.
If you really slow that thing down, you'll feel the difference.
Yeah.
You can just grab, you can muscle through it if you want to, if you drop the weight. There's no need to do that. I mean, you can have 40, 80 pounds on there and like really get a good pump off of this thing. To me, that returning it back to zero, that's the most important. I'm trying to drop it as low to the floor as I can. That big sweeping arch, no momentum. Stop, reset, do it again.
We go back and forth between using a rope and a bar. Do you prefer either one, or do you think they both have value?
If I'm being honest, I think sometimes it depends on how I'm feeling. Mobility-wise, upper body. If I'm not really as limber as I want to be, I feel like the rope gives me more mobility.
Because you kind of like, you can kind of have this latch position.
Yeah, I
here.
can kind of open it up. I can really try to encompass the entire lat. I can be a little playful with it.
Yeah.
For here, it's more of a fixed in position, but today it feels great.
I wonder if it's because maybe the shoulder position, all the shoulder work we kind of did this morning, kind of getting you open and long.
Yeah, probably.
Cool. Let's jump in, Lyle. We're going to pair this with a farmer's carry, looking at carrying our body weight. Last movement, we're pairing this with a lat sweep as a farmer's carry. We're going to go with body weight here for the prescribed amount of distance. This is in our standards test for a longer distance, but I love pairing this, especially with something with a lat sweep or a pull-up. Kind of sets our posture, really makes us engage everything while we're trying to isolate things with those lat sweeps. Safe pickup, safe in the exercise, safe out. So he's gonna safely pick these up. He's gonna drop those hips, drive those big toes down, safely up, nice and tall. Glutes are underneath him. Good tall posture, abs tight and engaged as he's walking forward. We don't wanna be purely on a balance beam, but obviously he's trying to find some center. Bringing it back. I'm cueing big toe down each step I take. Try not to have too much movement in the dumbbells as I'm walking. They're kind of stiff in my hands, kind of contracting my triceps as rigid as I can while maintaining that tall posture. This is something that you've touched on quite a bit, even with just your passive standing position when it comes to your torso. You mind to share a little bit about that for those that maybe haven't heard that?
I've always had some lower back issues. I think most of the population has lower back issues. And for me, a couple of years ago, we were really focused on rebuilding my core. And I started to add 10, 20% flexion. So for the dudes out there, if you're walking out on the pool deck, a bunch of families around you, take your shirt off. We're not just gonna let it go free flow jello, right? A little bit of tension. I've done that. I haven't had a lower back issue, knock on whatever wood I can find, in years now. But I never let myself go passive, right? Once we first started, it's like, I feel semi-protected the entire time. And now I never have to worry my lower back kind of spasming out because I'm just willy-nilly going through life right now. Everything is an active participation.
When we talk about it, we'll say active flexion prevents passive extension. So if you're actively aware, then you're probably not going to default to passively extended. Definitely something under load, it's going to get exacerbated, but just like daily standing, like DJ said, if you're standing at a grocery store or on the range or whatever it is at a meeting, and just kind of like having, like you said, a little bit of tone, what like you would at a pool. That's a great cue as well. And also I'll try to get my glutes underneath me sometimes too. So it's kind of like abs, glutes to kind of build this whole area like an armor type position.
And then as I'm walking, I try to keep my toes going north the entire time. What I'm really trying to focus on is not taking these big exaggerated steps and now the dumbbells start to shift back and forth. That's a bunch of momentum I don't want to do. So I'm trying to be rigid and I'm trying to be controlled the entire time, but I'm really focused on grip. If it starts to slip, it might be a subtle adjustment, but I'm really just death gripping this thing. Now we connect all the dots from the floor all the way in. Spine's in alignment, core's tight, grip's tight, shoulders back, walk.
That smooth walking position also, it makes, when you're doing that, I feel like that soft walking and that centered walking, make sure you keep your pelvis square as well. Those long steps, now we start to tilt and change. We're loading heavy, now low back's involved. So I think that thought process is a good one.
That's one of the other cues is you should be quiet when you're doing this. I shouldn't hear you from 20 feet.
Yeah.
If I'm stomping, it means I'm picking my feet up too high. All that's going back and forth, left and right. I'm trying to be like a little ninja on ice. Nice, subtle, easy steps, slow and controlled.
Awesome.
So, fellas, hope that was helpful. That was Monday's movement pattern. I'm really digging this new module we're into right now. If you've got any questions, hit us down in the comments section. Sign up on the program, free 7-day trial. This is the program I've been on for the last 6 years, and this is one I'll be on for the next 6 years, God willing, if I'm still on the planet. It adapts with you. For all the guys in the tactical population, it's the mobility you've been ignoring that gives you those limitations. It's not gonna be better tomorrow. You have to actually be making yourself 1% better every day, and this is the program I do to get me there.
Hell yeah.
See you soon.